going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 226. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E. He's sitting here on a Thursday. Beautiful Austin, Texas. Victorious Austin, Texas. And victorious, unlike two other major cities in this state. Like I do frequently, I know the answer to this question, but how you feeling, my friend?
Oh, I am excellent. The sun is shining a little brighter today. You take care of Houston, send them out of the Open Cup. 3 goals. What a night. What a match. What a game. So happy to be there. That was fantastic. Thought the crowd showed up. I thought we probably had the best amount of support for any team that was hosting an Open Cup game last night, which was awesome. The blackout went better than I anticipated. I thought the supporter section did a really good job with their setup with that and getting themselves ready to go. I didn't have high hopes. I thought people weren't going to know what was going on. But I thought it turned out pretty well. And look, man, it always just feels really good to beat that team, particularly after losing to them earlier in the month. So very, very excited. We got a Buka goal, Buka assist. Very, very, very excited, man. So I'm looking forward to get into this one, talking some shit here.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the blackout there because I thought the kind of same thoughts as you. Like the South End looked great with the majority black down there. And I thought and maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see in the other 3 sides of the stadium, but I thought I saw more black than normal or the ratio to what everybody was wearing. And I guess it kind of makes sense because the fans that are going to show up for a Wednesday night Open Cup match that wasn't announced until 2 weeks ago, most of them are the diehards, right?
Yep.
So I think I told you while we were walking out of there, among the many other things that we were ranting and raving about in a positive manner for once, was I could get behind that being a thing, going forward against our Texas rivals, or at least against Houston, because I hate them a little bit more than Dallas.
As we all do.
So I would also, shout out Big Fudge, number 1 for the extra ticket. We got to bring Debo. We got to bring Jones. Shout out to Fudge for the Paramount login as well, so we can get our full replay in earlier this morning. Shout out to the Pirates. They gave us an extra ticket as well. Shout out to Mike for pirating solo last night. We did our best to give him a little, backup juice there from higher up in the section. But shout out to Damon for the Buka beers, and I would shout out our buddy Hugo, who I met last night at halftime. Ian, I know you didn't get to meet Hugo because you were down there talking shit with Damon, I think, about Bukari, but it was great to meet him as well. So again, just an all-around great night, man. And it feels weird to score not 1, not 2, but 3 goals. So we'll talk about all that, man. We will preview the Minnesota match coming up this Saturday. It's a very quick turnaround to go back out on the road here for what amounts to another revenge match after the Loons handed us a record ass whooping at home, club record. That is, we'll also have some last business day, close it out with the nonsense. Before we get into all of that, just want to remind you listening or watching on the YouTube channel that you can support the show financially just by downloading the audio versions of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. So you go to Apple, Spotify, wherever you get those pods, toggle on auto downloads. That'll support the show going forward, and you don't have to think about it again. You can go the extra mile, rate and review the show wherever you get your pods. And if you are watching on the YouTube channel, subscribing to the channel does help us grow the show. Welcome to those who came in over the last week. You saw a little bit of a jump here over the last couple days. You can hit the notification bell. Know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live, and apparently when a short goes live as well. So maybe some more YouTube shorts coming here on the North End YouTube channel. Of course, here on episode 226. Hit the thumbs up, like the video. Help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Atone for your sins, Houston. Wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. So, we discussed at length, I think not just in the preview episode leading up to this match, but over the last couple of weeks about what we wanted to see going out against Houston in terms of the starting 11. And I think it's very simple. I think we got it.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, initially you see that starting lineup and I was in an immediate sour mood. because you saw Hader get the start and you saw
Yeah.
Buka getting the start. And we thought for sure that we were going to see Buka on the left. And like immediately, once I saw that, I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to be so upset. And then finally, we kick off after being upset for some time about that. And then we see Buka's on the right. And I was in a much better mood at that point. But, I was a little bit surprised that there wasn't more rotation, but it's clear. I mean, Nico has shown his hand here. He's taking this tournament very seriously. We have probably run out more of our starting lineup than most of the U.S. Open Cup teams in MLS have, in my opinion. I'm not up to date on every single player who played for every single MLS team, but we've been playing our guys here, and I'm definitely going to give Houston a little shit later on here because we had 34-year-old Ilya Sanchez go fucking 80 last night pretty near, and you got 20-year-old Jack McGuinn who's taught it to get out in the field, and like I've been excited for how Nico's approached this, to be honest with you. Like I liked it, and this lineup was good in my opinion, and you got the Duber start as well, which I thought was nice there, but Buka on the right, that's where we want to see him, and that's where he's been at.
Yeah, and Stuver and net too, right? Like, I think we both kind of expected Stephen Cleveland to get back in there for the Cup competition, but I'm glad we saw Brad because, again, I do think that's just, if you're taking this 100% serious, then you start Brad, and that's what they did. So in front of Brad, you had the Cascante-Svatok pairing, so BHI did get the night off, and rightfully so, because apparently Summer Svatok is just a beast.
Yeah. He's gotten used to the heat. He's getting tans out there now.
Well, they're flanked by Biru and John Gallagher. You had Ilya there with the armband next to Duber-Sarski with Owen Wolf kind of in the middle of the park. Then Obi and Buka on the wings, as we discussed, and BV up top. So you also got Azuni taking a rest. And I think that's kind of what we thought would happen if one of those three DPs was going to get rotated out. But then you look at Houston, right? And you mentioned it, right? McGlynn on the bench, but 5 other game in, game out starters on the bench for them. Femi Odesu, Griffin Dorsey, Andre Linger. You mentioned McGlynn, Ezekiel Ponce, and your boy Amin Bassi, who was the odd one out there at the end of the night for the one guy that didn't get in for Houston. But we saw that lineup. You see the heavy rotation from Houston. And they're not, there's really nobody in their starting 11 that's like their next pro guys, right? Yeah. But it is about as rotated as they could possibly be without breaking into that side of their roster. And we were saying walking into the queue, man, like you got to get a lead by the half because their players are coming in no matter what. And it's going to feel real dicey if you aren't able to create some separation before that happened.
Yeah, I mean, that was both of our immediate thoughts, and I probably shared that with multiple people at the stadium where I was just like, did you see their lineup? Yeah. Like, because you're going to have to score here, which we did, and we took care of business. I know I wanted 2 in that first half just to feel really good about ourselves going into the second half of that game. But you were able to get the lead, establish that we were the better team, and then they had to play from behind. And I thought the second half for Houston probably was a threatening half. They had some chances. They obviously get the 1 goal and everything like that, but they were definitely on the front foot to start that half. So by bankrolling those first couple goals was huge for this team. And like, again, positive momentum right now is really showing itself. You have the Vancouver outing, which was very, very nice. And then you have this that you follow up with the win right there. Like that's good positive momentum that we've been looking for going forward. And I thought that we set the tone to start that game.
Right off the rip here, Austin wins a throw down the left. I think it was first possession because this throw comes with like 35 seconds elapsed on the clock, and Biru takes the long throw on the left, gets it to the head of Julio Cascante, who nods it back, and Nico Ladero clears it out, but not far enough. It falls right to Osman, who scuffs his volley attempt, but that scuff trickles into the path of BV. He's able to take a shot that's deflected out. Off Maurer, who was in the net for them, and out for a corner. And nothing doing off the corner, but you like seeing that aggression right off the rip and putting them in a set piece situation down there in the north end.
Right, like I said, setting the tone right there. And we were having a conversation about Julio before we jumped on here, and he made himself active in their box last night. There's a couple plays that he makes where I was like, Yeah, there's our Julio on the offensive side of the ball,
Right.
getting his head to stuff, mucking it up a little bit. But yes, we set the tone right here. Obviously, nothing comes from this set piece, but you like to see it coming out like that. And to the team's credit, I feel like we have done that in the majority of the games this season. Obviously, there's a couple outliers, but we have had chances early. And to be able to get one within the first 30 minutes here just was a huge relief for, I know, us and as well as the players.
Well, I think for Julio too, obviously we'll talk about him near the end of this match again, but it seemed like a very standard, fine game out of Julio. Like you notice him on offense doing some positive things, and then at times you're going to notice him struggling a little bit on defense. And not a ton to do here in this first half for either team. 10th minute, Beer's trying to clear it out of his own corner in the south end, and I don't know what has happened. I believe it's different officials for the Open Cup. Like we may have some USL level crews out there, but Franco Escobar intentionally handles this ball that Biru's trying to clear out. And the head official literally gives Escobar a hug instead of a yellow card. And it's just like a stern talking to, like, don't do that again. And I am totally for that type of officiating if it's physicality, if it's some of the more subjective calls. This is not that. And I thought after he did not give him a yellow there, like Franco Escobar is a guy that, again, I try to not watch Houston too much, but when I see him, that guy is a shithouser. He does things like that, and he's very aggressive and a little bit dirty. Like it's kind of how I think of him is probably how our opponents think of like a guy like Diego Rubio or maybe even a Guilherme Biru. But like the fact that the card doesn't come out here, and I think it would have been very harsh if you go this far, but I think reds have been given out for less in terms of like intentional handballs there. So like that was just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, Ted Uncle would have slapped him with one. That's for
sure.
Yeah. And I'm right there with you. You know, like if someone's going in and making a play on the ball and it's a hard foul and like, you know, it's a clear attempt that they're trying to be clean with it, but it's the physicality of the game and the nature of the game, then yes, of course, you can give that guy a talking to like, hey, tighten that up, watch that type of stuff. But this is just blatant. And like, he's a habitual line stepper. Like that's what he is. So like, soon as he got that kind of leeway that he knew he was going to have that, I think it just amped up his antics for the rest of the game. And the guy was a dick for the majority of the night.
15th minute, Austin's playing out of the back here off a goal kick initially that's played short. And Julio makes a nice pass here to break a line. And it's a nice touch by Hot Air Obrian to push it towards the middle out into space. And he's able to go get it. And then Obrian plays a fantastic ball here, trying to split Andrade out, who was playing left back for them last night, and Pablo Ortiz. And I think it's an even better tackle by Ortiz here to cut it out. But I wanted to give Julio credit for the pass because Austin did, you know, I think we end up with like a third of the ball here on the night. And when we had these more direct moments is when we were more dangerous. And then I thought Hot Air had moments too where like it was like this pass, there's another one later that almost gets Buka in on the keeper and cut out by the back line, a little bit more lucky in that later instance, but kind of similar to Julio. I thought Hot Air's game, it was fine. It was good. He did Hot Air things.
Yep, totally agree. And another guy that, you know, we've been talking about with like Buka and keeping your mentality right and everything. I know that he prefers the right side. So he's being asked to play on that left side and he took it in stride. And I thought he played well. I thought he put in a good shift.
In 28th minute here, Austin finally putting some pressure on Houston in possession because, again, most of it had been through transition moments or set pieces thus far. Austin wins the throw on that far side from the broadcast camera down in the north end and kind of hesitate a bit on what they want to do. Like Galley's almost going to take the quick throw, but then he waves everybody up for the long throw and he ends up hucking it in and Houston heads it up out of the 18, but Svatok comes forward to pop it back into the area. And Julio, of all people, runs it down and drops it out to Galley still out there by that right sideline. And John puts in an immediate cross towards Brandon. And BV's touch to corral this ball bouncing up near his shoulder is really something. and Ortiz kind of overcommits in that moment. And so as BV brings it down, quick turn towards the inline, takes a shot that in the moment I thought was completely going out the other side and not on target. And it looks like upon multiple instant replay reviews here, I think it goes off Maurer, maybe off of his outstretched arm, and then certainly pings off the inside of that outside post and in. But we'll take it, man. And that is a striker's finish or a forward's finish, rather. And it reminded me of some Seba goals where, look, man, sometimes when you just smash it as hard as you can at the target, good things can happen. We'll take it up 1-0, and Superman has landed again.
Yes, sir. And we got that goal in the north end there. Debo getting to celebrate, which was fantastic for all of us. Look, man, Brandon's physicality last night was impressive, and it was really on display. And he's been physical this entire season. He goes in, he throws his body into the fire, he puts it into the mix and everything like this. The body control here to have Ortiz on your back, kind of not fake a bike, which I definitely thought he was going to try to bike this, but to be able to bring that down and get that quick hip turn, that rip, beautiful, beautiful thing. And we're up, and that's the goal we were looking for. And now we're starting to cheer like, hey, go get a second one, because you can kind of hit them here. They were reeling a little bit. You start to build that positive momentum. A lot of nice line breaking balls and changing balls I thought took place last night as well, which I was very encouraged to see. And in that first half, I thought that Andrade did a good job on Buka. I thought that he was solid on him in the first half. And that was a bit of a concern for me, but obviously he responds here in the second half, not to get too far ahead of myself, but feeling great right now.
Yeah, again, as much as Houston had about 60% of the ball in the first half as well and outshot Austin, but none of Houston's 7 shots were on target in the first half. So, again, limiting the quality of any chances that the rotated Houston lineup got in the first 45. And to close out the half, again, there wasn't too much going on, but I did want to highlight in the 36th, this is another, that second really attractive through ball attempt here from Obi, left to right for Buka. And here it was Ortiz, skillful tackle, I think, on that first one about 20 minutes prior. This one, Andrade, lucky.
Yeah,
he's turned around. Buka is behind him, and it hits, I think, the back of his calf right here. He knew nothing about it, and I think that would have been Buka's first goal on the night if he gets through in on Maurer, because the rest of the line was completely flat-footed.
Yeah, they got super fortunate here, and just another fantastic ball by Hot Air.
So coming out of the break, here they come, Jack McGlynn and Femio Adesu in for Artur and Pablo Ortiz. And Houston's first possession of the half, Kowalczyk finds McGlynn about 25 yards out, center of net, blasts a shot through the scrum that Stuver does well to get down to his right and save it out for a corner. And then on that corner, man, McGlynn finds the head of Bartlow, who puts it over the crossbar and out, which was a theme, fortunately for us, a theme for Houston in the second half, because they were very dangerous throughout the second 45.
Yeah, I mean, it was tight ball hole as soon as they came out of that second half with McGlynn, and he's the guy who makes everything go. And I know I had, cracked a little joke there about him not being able to go for more than 45 minutes in this game, but he was impactful as soon as he came, and you saw the talent, and particularly that left foot and the type of striking ability that he has. It's impressive, but fuck him.
Yeah. Well, and you really get the sense, that was my first time seeing, both of our first time seeing him in person. Watched him plenty on Apple TV over the last couple of years, but a little bit bigger than I thought he was going to be. And just the centerpiece of everything they want to do on offense. They had nothing threatening, and immediately multiple chances. And it's not Ponce or Linger stirring the drink there. And Ladero, you saw little wisps of what used to be. Yeah. But they just don't have anybody like him. And 5 minutes later, Houston applying pressure out of the break here. And in the notes, all based on McGlynn's efforts. He plays a great changing ball from right to left, and Kowalczyk dekes right around Gallagher there as he comes into the box on the left side, puts across to the head of Olusanya, and Olusanya sends it over the bar. And again, these chances are, if they just get them down, I'm probably not blaming Stuver for not saving any of these, because these are point blank opportunities.
Yeah, Olasanya really struggled last night. I thought he put in a really, really poor effort. And this was a sitter. Honestly, he's got to do better with this. We got lucky here. They got lucky earlier in the first half with that ball that Andrade doesn't know is coming. But, like, this is a real, real attempt and a real chance. And, yeah, now we're sitting there like, shit. Because we knew that if you're listening to this pod, you fucking know how much this month has been dragging on this team. And the demand and the fact that we have showed our hand. We're playing our guys. We got 34-year-old Ilya in there putting in huge time shifts and everything like that. And we knew that they were going to come out aggressive in this second half, but I didn't think it was going to look this good. So we did get fortunate here. And like you said, I wouldn't have been able to blame Brad if this went in because, like, he's right in front of the net. This is a sitter.
Yeah. And also at that point, it's like, okay, are we truly going to sit back here for this whole 45 with their most talented guys coming on fresh? Like, it really felt like we needed the insurance goal. And so here in the 53rd, another dangerous Houston push forward. And you see Ladero head a ball just over the bar here again. Stuver's goal kick is brought down by Houston, but then turned over in the midfield by Kowalczyk. He just passes it straight to Owen Wolff, and all of a sudden we're off on a break. It's like 3-on-4, so it's not a huge advantage here, but Owen's got it centrally. He's got BV to his right, Obrian to his left, and Owen goes ahead and slides it out left to Obrian, and Hader crosses it back in, and Escobar goes down to ground for the block. And I think this handball is rightfully called. I don't think you're crazy if you think it's maybe a little bit harsh and could go either way, but the guy slid down to the ground. It goes right off his hand, and natural position or not, like I guess I came down to this, and I know I'm biased, but we have had multiple handballs over the last like 2 or 3 seasons that I think are more harshly given than this one was. So if you want to have that debate, go right ahead. I'm not engaging in it. I think this was a rightful handball call, especially after the guy got away with a fucking free handball earlier. And then very interesting, I think, the way this played out, that Brandon Vasquez gives the ball to Osman Bukari, and this was a great pin. You can see on the replay where he sends Maurer to the left, or to Maurer's left with his eyes, slots it calmly home in the other on the other side of net. And what I really love to see, outside of course like getting the insurance goal, Buka getting a goal, we're rubbing Damon's little bald head there, and the hugs from the teammates, where like, dude, I don't like, something's going on there. Like, and I think it's more than just a player struggling with his game. Like, I think there might be more like some sort of personal stuff going on with Buka, because the hug from BV, and then Svatak coming in and Galley coming in, everybody was like, I don't know. It just looked like they had his back. And especially after the rumors over the last 10 days or so, I love to see that, because you know where I stand on. Like, I want Bukari here, and I want him in there every game on the right. So you get the insurance goal, man, and now we're partying.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I love to see this, and we've speculated about chemistry things, particularly between the DP3, and like seeing BV here being willing to give that to Buka, and Buka has his hands on the ball. I absolutely loved it. And I wanted Buka to take it before we even saw that kind of transaction take place. Because I wanted that for him, and like for his confidence and everything like that. And then to see the guys kind of rally around him, that was a special moment, and like something that we might be able to look back on and be like, yeah, this is where we really turned this thing around for Buka. And like, it's clear that the guys support him. They want him to do well and want him to have success, because we'll be successful as a team if he's at his regular pace and everything. So it was wonderful to see. And like, getting this second one was a huge sigh of relief, because like we said, this second half had been dominated by Houston.
Yeah, and then, I don't know, 4 minutes later, after the penalty is finally scored, 60th minute here, Duber-Sarski steps in front of a Houston pass near midfield. Duber, right, first start, or did he start the first? Did he start against El Paso? I don't remember off the top of my head.
I think he started versus El Paso.
I'm gonna say I think it's his first start. We have the technology here, brother. He did get the start. Yeah, he did. So Duber-Sarski steps in front of this pass, and Austin, off and running again. I thought Duber, little chip here to Obi, little bit cheeky there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Obi plays a give and go with Owen. Owen waits that pass nicely to spring Obrian into space down the left. He crosses into the feet of Osman, who had kind of come across the pitch to make himself available in the 18. And Buka settles it. And both in the moment and on the replay, the audacity, it's crazy the confidence that just seeing the ball go in can give you. Because Buka, like, settles it and then just stands on the ball for a half second and draws a double team in, whips around to his right towards the end line, and just pulls it back right to the spot where you're supposed to, right to the penalty spot, and Ilie's charging in to clean it up for his first Austin FC goal. 3-0 lead, confetti's flying, smoke's flying, and the Buka assist. Once again, big Buka hugs from Ilie and from everybody coming over there. And we got a new drop here on the Pod E for our boy, courtesy of Ozzy there at We Are Austin TV.
Bukari!
Oh, that laugh is incredible.
I know. Shout out to Ozzy. Shout out to We Are Austin TV for that content, man.
That is so good. I mean, the audacity, because he literally just stops.
Yeah.
Like, he stops and they're like, what are we supposed to do right now? And then he's like, okay, see you later. Boop. And then again, I think we talked about, I don't remember what game it was, and I can't remember if it was Mirtu or if it was Buka. But we talked about putting the ball into the right position and nobody being in that zone to go ahead and get a shot on net. And you saw it here because the vibes were much higher. Everyone's supporting one another. It looked great, man. And happy for Ilie. We know the dirty work that he puts in. We know the leadership stuff that he puts in as well to go ahead and get this goal. I think will be good for his confidence as well, because he has found himself outside of the top of the box with some opportunities like this as of late. And to go ahead and get this one super calm and collected, slots it right home. Nothing that Maurer can do with it. Not that he was doing much with anything last night. But yeah, man, the move is just absolutely ridiculous. And an exciting thing to see this stuff come together. And hopefully we can keep this rolling. But I will take it versus this team. And at this point, yes, I think the door is closed. This game is over. 3-0. I don't even in my most wildest scenario, I couldn't fathom them coming back from this, and then now we get to elevate the shit talkery to the next level and everything like that. So, they didn't take this one as seriously as we did, in my opinion, and that was their decision. And now you're out of the Open Cup, and let's see if you can make the playoffs. You might miss on both.
Yeah. And now to have all engines firing, just need to get a Zuni going, man.
Yep, that's true.
Because now BV is on fire.
Yep.
And Buka doing his thing.
Yep.
Over the last week, right? Once you put him on the right. And notable too, if you put him on the right, apparently now he can do things on the left too, because that's where that assist came from.
Yeah.
So you do get a triple sub here for Austin right after the goal. Azuni, Sabovic, and Kolmanich come in for BV, Ilie, and Obrian. So armband goes to Julio and Austin. I was happy to see us moving to a back five in this instance, even with a half hour to go, rather than having Jean stay up there in the midfield position as we've seen or at least once over the last two games. And then you also get Ponce and Linger for Olusanya and Dueñas. So here comes Houston, and those subs were at the ready before we got the third goal.
Yeah.
So even more important to get that third goal when we did, because it doesn't take too long for Houston again to come right back on the front foot.
Yeah, I mean, I like the subs. I like the formational switch. We know that they like to have the ball. They're not very direct, even though this half they had been on the front foot and had been making pressing moves to get something going for their offense. But we know that they're content to pass that ball around and be in the midfield and play with it a little bit. So I'm fine parking this bus here because, like I said, 3-0, this door is closed in my opinion.
Yeah. The 67th minute, of course, Houston starts bitching and whining and playing a little bit dirtier. Ponce goes right through Sabovic's back here.
Yeah.
And Sabo rightfully gets up, takes exception, and who comes and gets in Sabo's face? But Franco Escobar wants to go forehead to forehead. And then I didn't see this live, love seeing this on the replay. Kowalczyk comes and puts his hand on Sabovic's shoulder. Did you see Svatak come in and judo chop that fucking arm right off him?
The eye of Ukraine, baby.
Man.
The eye of Ukraine sees everything. Yeah, get out of here. Don't touch our guys. Please.
Yeah.
Not with those nasty jerseys, and don't touch us.
Yeah, dude. Like a little child.
On you. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
And I don't know how this isn't a yellow card on Ponce because there's no play made on the ball. Goes right through Sabo's back. But he does rightfully give one to Escobar, fucking finally, for coming up and trying to instigate that further. But 3 minutes later, Houston all of a sudden slices right up the middle because it had been fairly stagnant for them since that third goal. But in this moment, right through the middle, then they usher the ball out to the right where a cross comes in. And Ponce gets his head to it in between the two center backs, pulls one back for Houston. And after the goal, we get Rubio on for Buka. Watching this back, man, like I don't know if there's any direct blame that I can put on either of the center backs. I think a portion of it, you got to credit Ponce as a designated player in this league coming up. Mm-hmm. Rising up between the Austin backline and scoring a goal out of the number of chances that they had already had and probably should have scored. This probably wasn't the highest probability chance, but quality by him. And also, I think maybe a little bit of, we haven't played a ton of a back five here, and maybe a little bit of miscommunication as runners are coming into the box through this progression. So, I don't know if you had any thoughts there or not, but I wasn't too upset watching on the replay, but in the stadium, I was like, okay, here court can't have nice things. Can't just win by 3. Hey, we got to sweat a little bit, right? You have to.
Yeah. I will say to your point that the back five at times has struggled structurally as well as with their communication. We have had guys occupying very much the same space quite often in that back five, and it has bitten us on the ass. But this was a good play by Ponce, who's a good player. So I wasn't worried about it either. I was still partying, having fun.
Yeah, well, and then literally off the restart, Sabovic gets crushed again by Ponce. And fucking nothing, man. Houston gets the ball back, and Sabo gets up and then trucks Linger, who's on the ball. And Sabo rightfully gets the yellow card, but play should have been stopped, I thought. Ponce on the yellow. And if you gave Ponce the yellow for the first foul a few minutes ago, then he's not doing that shit again. Yeah. And making Sabo you have to defend yourself in that moment. I don't blame him at all for going and getting his. And then he shows the official. And I also saw Moises from Verde All Day posted a picture. Sabo showed him in the locker room the 3 marks from where he got fucking stepped on by Ponce. Yeah. And he's showing the official in this moment too. And fucking nothing doing. It's crazy that Sabo was the only one in this exchange that got a caution.
Yeah, and I can't blame him either because this was not the first time this happened, and the short amount of time that he was in this game got absolutely blasted twice, and we know he's not the guy to do that to because he will do it. Like, he'll give it back to you, and rightfully so. So, yeah, I think, again, I don't want to get too much on the officiating here in this matchup because, again, they didn't impact this game. Or, I mean, they didn't affect this game, the outcome or anything like that. But, they're down 3-1 here. They're showing their true colors. I think, if this next matchup between these two teams was a bit closer, not on August 9th, this would be a really, really testy, fun kind of matchup because, we put it on them here. We put it on them tonight.
I think it'll be that anyways. But
for sure.
If it was closer proximity on the schedule, you'd turn it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So 74th, you get Griffin Dorsey in for Felipe Andrade. 77th, Houston wins a free kick to the left of the Austin 18. And McGlynn whips in another dangerous ball, man, and Linger. This was an easier chance, I thought, than the goal he actually scored. And he puts this one wide. Like, this one was absolutely a goal if he puts it anywhere on target, just point blank. And after that chance, we do get CJ in for Gallagher, which moved Owen to right back or right wing back in this instance. I think for the first time this season.
I believe so.
And Owen, Owen's dog tired too.
Yeah, no, I know. And I said it earlier on another episode, if he dies out there, he dies out there. That's because again, he's not going to show up on the stat sheet here. He has the nice play where he plays Obi that draws the PK and everything. I thought he did a good job of taking what the defense gave him there, where it was like, I'm not going to press, make up my mind. I'm going to take what you give me, played the right ball. But again, in the midfield, he's Armaglin there, essentially. He's makes everything go for us. And for him to be able to move back to right wing back and to be able to get that shift through, see out this full game and everything, just super impressive. Hats off to him for sure. I thought our midfield as a whole was very good last night. I thought Duber had a good showing. Ilya obviously with another good showing as well. So very satisfied with what those three had to show last night. And Johnny needed a break. I mean, like, it's, like, we're so thin. We were looking at Johnny's fucking minutes, and like, he's been playing 90. The only game he didn't was versus Minnesota last time. Other than that, he's been 90 since Dessler went down.
And we were down 3 when he came out, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, steal some minutes here for him, or some rest rather. And then closing out this one, 83rd minute, you get Houston's first yellow of the match. Second, I guess, because Escobar finally did get one. But Reigns gets one for taking down CJ on a breakaway after Azuni tried to spring him forward. Because then in stoppage time, I think we got 5 minutes in the first minute of stoppage. Azuni takes it off of Houston near midfield after a loose touch by the Orange team. And he takes on 2 defenders towards the top of the box, takes some contact from Reigns, drawing the foul just outside the 18. Yellow card shown, so that's his second. He's sent off. And then for Austin, there's a lot of conversation about who's going to take this free kick and what we're going to do with it. It ends up being Diego and John standing over it, and Rubio's the one that fires it in through the wall. Maurer saves it, but can't secure it and spills it. And Calvin J. CJ. Ton of space for his first team goal, and just pings it right back at Maurer. And I think even if you hit it maybe with a little bit more pace than you do, it bounces off Maurer and maybe in. Yeah. And I was just so bummed for him.
Yeah, that one hurt.
He wants that back, and twice on Sunday.
That one hurt me too. Definitely hurt my soul, because he's wide open here. Yeah. Like, would have been the cherry on this fucking ass.
The exclamation point.
Yes, that CJ gets this goal, particularly after his heroics. One of the last times we played Houston with that header to Rigoni and everything, we could have dubbed them something like the Houston. I don't know, something.
The Houston Killer. I don't know. We could workshop it.
We can workshop something there. But this was painful, because I definitely wanted that really bad for him. And he deserves it. And like another guy who, like, I think a lot of guys would have been like amped up about. You saw the reaction to the Buka thing. I think guys would have been excited for this, because the kid deserves it, man. And it's going to come. He's going to get it. But it would have been really, really sweet to put this as the little bow tie on this ass whooping.
And then 3rd minute of stoppage, long ball from Escobar towards the north end, bounces, and Cascante and Linger are chasing after it. They get tangled up. Linger goes down, and Julio's shown a straight red here, and most importantly, that means he's suspended for the quarterfinal match in July. Mm-hmm. I don't understand this as a straight red. I don't think it was a dog-so. I don't think it was overly intentional by Julio there. Again, I know I'm biased, but that seemed tough. Yeah. And the announcers on Paramount last night also thought that seemed tough, which, that doesn't mean much. I think they also thought the handball call for the penalty earlier on was harsh, but also notable, Svatak gets the armband here, which I think is a slight development. Again, he's 3rd in the 4th in the pecking order, I guess. But interesting to note, I thought, to close out the game here. And you also saw him a couple times, even without the armband, really talking to guys, getting on Duber Sarsky, telling him, pointing to his temples, use your head here. But that's just unfortunate, man, because again, like when we're going into a semifinal in early July, assuming health, certainly, it's BHI Svatak for me, unless, crazy context is provided between now and then. But to not have Julio for sure, we don't get another center back between now and then. So knocking on all the wood in sight, fingers crossed that the health of Svatak and BHI holds up going into that quarterfinal, because you're already kind of behind the 8 ball there. You're only going to have 2 available unless you make a call up. And I don't think you're getting an Fcito guy here because of the short bench. It's probably going to be on Guilherme Biru to be that backup center back. Again, assuming health.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the schedule too, right? You got LAFC at home on the 5th, and then we got the Revs on the 12th. So like that's a bit of a tight schedule there, and like super unfortunate. I thought it was light too. Didn't think it was warranted, but particularly with the physicality he let go in the middle of the pitch with their team and Ponce and Houston there. But like super unfortunate. Just gonna have to hope that we're healthy. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But definitely an unfortunate way to end this game.
33% possession for Austin at the end of this one. 20 shots to 10 in favor of Houston, but 6 on target to 3 in favor of the home team. So again, limiting those quality chances, or at least those on target. Houston certainly could have had more if they did better with their headed chances in the second half. Austin on FOTMob's model created 2 big chances, converted both of them. 8 corners to 5 in favor of Houston. Houston did double up Austin in terms of touches in the opponent's penalty area. I don't know how much I have. Sorry, go ahead. I
mean, the thing for me is the 0 big chances missed, right? You create 2, you get 2 goals out of that. And that's what we've been struggling with, really. We've had some big chances throughout the course of this season, and we just haven't been able to finish them. That changed last night with some really spectacular play. Individual play from BV and Buka to put that ball there for Ilya. I think the numbers here don't tell the whole story really for this game, particularly of how non-threatening they were in the first half of this matchup. You have the Olusana attempt there, but other than that, that was the second half. They didn't have much going. They had the one deflected shot that hit the crossbar in the first half.
Johnny deflected. Yeah.
But these shots were not threatening. They weren't anything that Stuver really had to deal with. So we were the better team, like flat out we were. I think obviously we played our better players than they did, but this is what you're supposed to do again, and this is why we were so fucking pissed off about the El Paso performance. Because yes, if the team rolls out a team like this, you go and you take care of business and you survive in advance. So I'm happy to do that. Happy that BV's rolling. Super, super, super happy for Buka to get those 2. I hope that he can build on that. I thought you saw some good shifts out of some mainstay guys like Johnny, as well as Ilya. It got some good performance out of Duber, and I thought Obi was more than fine in what he was being asked to do last night. And they like to control the ball. That's how they play. And I think that we were content, particularly after you go up 2 there, to sit back and let them have the ball. But again, outside of some moments in the second half where they absolutely should have scored probably more than 1 goal, we were the better club.
Yeah, I agree. The one thing that I had down was glad that we finally, on the scoreboard, dominated a rotated side or a lesser side, right? Which it just feels like over the years, we just haven't been great at, for lack of a better term, finishing our dinner, right?
It's not a new thing.
Yeah.
That is not a new thing for this club. So that was the big thing for me. 0 big chances missed.
So the path here is now set to Austin's first trophy outside, of course, of Copa Tejas. 8 teams remain. Austin in the Western bracket, along with Minnesota United, Chicago Fire, and San Jose Earthquakes, who will be our quarterfinal opponent on either July 8th or 9th. I imagine we get that schedule released probably tomorrow, but like Monday at the latest. So that second week of July, like you mentioned, sandwiched by LAFC at home, or LAFC home, Revs
at home.
Road. Revs home. Okay.
Yes.
So you go out to San Jose in the midweek for the quarterfinal. 3 wins away from a cup. That semifinal match, if you advance on the road past San Jose, you would see, as you see on the YouTube in the bracket here, we're going to play the winner of Minnesota and Chicago. It would be road if Minnesota wins. We would be home if Chicago wins. And then no matter what, if you made the final, you will host because the West bracket won the draw for hosting priority in the final. So here's the path, man, and it's exciting and very doable, I think.
Yeah, these are all beatable teams, and I know what just happened with Minnesota, and I know we got them coming up on Saturday, and It's going to be a real test. I will
Yeah.
say that. And we'll give some more context as we get into that preview here. But these are all winnable opponents for sure. Teams that we could absolutely beat. I mean, just on paper alone, you got to feel better than the Fire, DC United as well. San Jose is a dangerous club, but you can score on them. So this is going to be fun, man. I'm super excited. I hope that we can advance through this and have a shot to get some silverware here and get our first trophy in the old trophy case in the 512 down here. So I'm really looking forward to it, man. It's been a great run this far. It's been an interesting one also with some of the stuff that's been surrounding this team and everything like that. But I'm excited for the guys. They deserved it. And I hope that we're able to make the most of this opportunity that we have before us.
So a couple things from the post-game comments. First that I thought was interesting and that I very much agree with. Both Coach Estevez and Ilya Sanchez suggested that the team played much better against Vancouver, even in the 0-0 draw, than they did last night. And I thought that's a very astute and accurate observation and highlights the absurdity of the sport sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where the final score can maybe even rarely tell you anywhere close to the full context of what happened during the 90 plus minutes. But, and I think that also plays into your point that you made at the top of the episode, man, where like you're building some momentum here now. Yeah. And even though that's an Open Cup round and they were rotated, especially in the first half, that getting that victory, resounding victory on the scoreboard at home against a rival in a get-back game, they just beat you a month ago.
Yep.
I think the team can carry that momentum over or back into the league where you were already starting to build a little bit of positive momentum, at least where the bar was after the Minnesota and then El Paso stretch there. So, yeah, man, again, I will get to Minnesota here in a minute, the road match on Saturday, but the team is in a much better spot now than we have been in probably a month, maybe a little over a month.
That's a fantastic mentality to have, where it's just like, we just won this game 3-1, but we know we played better versus Vancouver. And that's the bar that we have for ourselves. That's how we want to play. And which we said, if you play that way for the majority of your games to close out this season and you get healthy, you're going to be a good team. You're going to find yourself in the playoffs. So I totally agree with that answer. Really, really like it. And like, I don't think, I don't think just because it was an Open Cup game that the boost that it gave Buka in particular is just going to kind of fade away. I don't think he's going to go into his next game and be like, I scored in the Open Cup and I got an assist. I feel like he's feeling good about himself, as we saw when he made that audacious play in the box to go ahead and get our third goals there. So I think it should be something that we can continue, and I'm looking forward to it. I know we got some more positive news with injury stuff on this club, so like things are moving in the right direction here. Again, this is going to be a difficult matchup on Saturday, and you could really solidify that you're feeling good about yourselves if you can go up there and get a result, and I'd be happy with just a result. But again, I think I'm going to judge this team based on, and like you said, sometimes more often than not, it rarely tells the actual story of the game. I want to see how we play, how we look, because if we're setting ourselves the expectation, the standard that we play like we played against Vancouver going forward, then I'm going to feel really good about this team. So this was a good boost. And like you said, we had been so down and the vibes were so low and the body language was so bad. To see these guys kind of get this uplift, I think is going to be, not work wonders, but I think it's going to be really in our favor as we move through the rest of the summer here.
Yeah, and you hinted at, we got a little bit of an injury update from Coach last night. Apparently, this is good news, man. Mikkel Dessler could make an appearance on the road here on Saturday in Minnesota. I imagine 15 minutes at most. More than 20 would be like, well, then it'd be a good surprise.
Yes, right? Absolutely.
But so being able to start working back Dessler into the rotation, Danny apparently next Wednesday at home against RSL, and then potentially Robert Taylor on next Saturday on the road at San Diego. So man, if you can get into June with all of those guys back and active, again, still working their way to full fitness, but I think you're feeling great. Again, depending on how the results go in these next 3 league matches to close out the month. But
Yeah.
And we'll get into Minnesota here in a minute. But if you can get a point this weekend or next and you win against RSL, then you hit the 6 points that a week and a half ago we were saying we wanted. We said we wanted to win the Wednesday games, right? Atlanta and RSL, and then advance in the Open Cup. Would have been 6 points. Is it ideal? No. But does it keep you afloat, very much afloat in the mix there? Within striking distance to get back up into that top 4, It absolutely does. So anything else for you on the Houston match or the Open Cup draw?
No, I was just going to make the point that if you can get to June with these guys kind of back into the rotation and feeling good, the schedule is not nearly as demanding, and they can go ahead and get their fitness up to where we got them ready to go. And like being able to getting Dessler back in itself is massive, but being able to unlock Johnny as a super sub that we can plug and play in a bunch of different positions is going to be awesome for this team, because we were excited about the depth. Our depth has now been tested, and we were able to survive for now, and like you said, closing out this month will be big. So I'm ready to do it, man.
Before we get into Minnesota, just real quick, let's talk about Nicky Bolocco, because this appears to be one of our incoming summer signings. If you are following the show on social media, you likely saw the little short that we put out there, just kind of breaking down what this could mean from a roster standpoint. So this, I believe it was ATXFC_news on Instagram that first picked this up from the European outlets that were talking about it, and then further amplified by the We Are Austin TV guys. Nicky Bolocco, 25-year-old midfielder, Cameroonian and Swiss citizenship, so would be taking up an international slot here, but out of contract, so would be joining on a free this summer, which we know is kind of right up Roto's alley, trying to take advantage of some of the salary cap quirks here, not adding a transfer fee onto that cap hit. And what excites me outside of the possibility that the player brings, and we can go ahead and play some of these highlights for those watching on the YouTube. He profiles as more of a defensive midfielder, but also I think has the athleticism. If you watch these highlights from his last season, and he would be coming to us from Luzerne in the Swiss first division. He does get out on the wings and create, he does seem to be able to generate some chances for his teammates. Does not score a ton, and I see him mostly described by pundits. And again, a lot of this punditry is translated from different languages over there. But like a tackling machine. Yeah. So my first thought was like, man, another D mid, like we're kind of stacked at the position, at least in terms of bodies. Yep. But if he is a little bit more versatile than that initial take for me was, then I'm really excited about this, especially if he can fit into a supplemental slot, man, because we looked through a couple salary estimates. There's no like official accounting of what he's been paid by Luzerne of late. But with the 91,000 we have left in GAM and some change, if he can come in on a contract for like 195,000 or less, we could buy this guy down to a supplemental slot, which would still leave you, again, you think he's taken up an international slot, so probably just one of those left. But 2 senior slots. And it's not crazy to think that we may have another green card coming for one of those international guys, the 7 that are currently occupying those spots, because of, like I mentioned the other day in the short, this team has been very successful, I think, at getting green cards for the players who want to go through that process. You get at least one every year, and we've even had 3 at a time before back in 2022. So I think probably Obrian, maybe Biru would be my betting favorites, in terms of guys who could be getting their green cards this summer. Either way, I think the most important thing about this is I don't think this is a rumor. I think this is a done deal because the player himself posted the rumor on his Instagram story. And I don't think that happens unless the guy is, the report is a verbal agreement. And so we, usually we're going to have Bogert confirmation once that paperwork hits the league office. But I'm pretty much Yeah, I've got him written in, at least in my head on the roster sheets here, Nicky Bolocco as our newest player.
Yeah, I mean, just from looking at these highlights alone, he's clearly more athletic than Duber and Ilya. Like,
Yeah.
clearly, like that's not, don't have to do too much analysis here.
Yeah.
Which I know, like we said, we have bodies, and I know that people have been asking for a large portion of the fan base and kind of clamoring for a more attacking-minded 10 who can distribute to our guys up front. But I trust in Roto. I still trust the plan. I think this roster hasn't performed the way that we anticipated it to, and at least for now, up until this point. But my expectations were fairly high for this team and the way that it was built. And like you said, if we can get Mirtu going, because we got BV going, you got Buka going now, you're going to feel much better about this team. So I still trust in Roto's process here, and I'm excited to see how he fits in. And like you said, tackling machine, you can see some really clean tackles there on those highlights where it's just like, okay, we like that. So I'm excited for him, and I'm right there with you. I don't think this is a rumor. I think it's a done deal, and he's going to be here and ready to welcome him.
Yeah. So again, this is around the time last year where we already had Dessler in the fold, right? I think that signing was reported like in January by Bogert, but this is around the time when we got the Buka rumors. It was a couple weeks later we got the Svatak rumors, so it is that time of year, but still about 2 months away from that summer transfer window actually opening here for MLS. So let's go ahead and move into a quick Minnesota preview here, E. Before we get into that, again, this is an away match, and while we are on hiatus from our Los Verdes watch parties, if you're not traveling out of town for this game and you want a place to watch the game, you can check out that Los Verdes Full 90 Club, group of bars and restaurants around town that have agreed to show Austin FC matches with sound and captions on. And so those locations include, just as a reminder, again, you can find all this at the losverdesatx.org website. Go to the events page and see more details there. But Brutorium Brewery and Kitchen, Hop Squad over there by the stadium, Luster Pro East and South, Meanwhile Brewing, and then Mags up there in Cedar Park. So if you need a place to watch the game with the sound on and the captions on, you go to any of those places there in the LV Full 90 Club. So E, I know you are back on the Minnesota preview here for Saturday's match. Hasn't been long since we saw these guys, and hasn't been long since we got absolutely embarrassed by these guys. So, I think right off the top, I expect us to rotate fairly heavily here. But what do you got on Minnesota? Again, about a month less than a month since we last saw them, like 3 weeks ago.
Yep. Well, we're all knotted up now. 5 wins, 5 losses, 0 draws versus this club. And look, man, I know that the Vancouver game was arguably the most embarrassing match we've had, but I thought this Minnesota matchup was the low point thus far in this season for me in particular. And that could be because it came on the heels of the Vancouver game, but we got our ass beat versus Minnesota thoroughly. It was an embarrassing matchup, and they're a very, very good team. So we're going to have to get some get back here, but I am of the same mindset where I do think we're going to have some rotation. I just don't know if it's sustainable. And as much as I do appreciate and like the fact that Nico plays the guys that he trusts and he's going to run them out there, and I've made the jokes about Owen dying on the field, and that's going to be okay. But, I mean, it seems logical that you want to go ahead and rotate here and then go full out versus RSL and really try to get those 3 points at home, because we know we have to defend home field. This Minnesota team is a team that is completely bought in to the way that they play. And the dudes know their jobs out there. They got some studs, but some of their stats that we were going through was quite interesting before we jumped on here. Dead last in possession, but also first in clean sheets. Yeah. So that is just really, really impressive to me, because it's like
have the ball, try to score.
Yeah, and it's not like Dane St. Clair is a world beater in the net or anything like that. It's not like he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. They just know how they want to play, and they do it very, very well. They're led by some really great players in Tani Oluwaseyi, Kelvin Yeboah, who we both really, really like. Joaquin Pereira has been fantastic. You got that strike. in the
Crushed
last
us.
matchup. That was absolutely incredible and like something that you expect out of a DP level player. But outside of that, they also have guys, again, who do their jobs well. Markinich, a guy in their midfield who's fantastic at what he does. And they play direct, man. When they get the ball, they're going. And we saw it firsthand when we lost to them 3-0. And I know that we had the, really egregious Stuver error in that game. And that was probably Brad's worst game in Austin FC history, I would say. Like that was it's on a short list there. But despite that, they were just the much better team. They played last night as well, but they were rotated. So they are going to be fresh in this game. And as we mentioned, for us, it's applicable to Minnesota as well. You want to defend home field. So I anticipate them rolling out their choice 11 here. Guys you got to watch out for, as I mentioned, Tani Oluwaseyi, Calvin Yeboah, and Joaquin Pereira are the three guys who are elite-level goal-scoring talents. Oluwaseyi paces them right now with 6 goals. Pereira got 5 assists. Tani with 10 goal contributions this season. Yeboah sitting on 4 goals as well. So they can score. And as we mentioned, 7 clean sheets. They can also defend. They have the dreaded Mike Boxall, who we will never forgive. And this Julian Gressel pickup. We talked about the Robbie Taylor pickup and how he was a sight for sore eyes and somebody who we wanted to get in here and like we thought could impact winning. Julian Gressel, another one of those names in Miami who was kind of forgotten with all the stuff and all the noise surrounding that club. Minnesota goes ahead and picks him up, and he's been a good rotational piece for them. Can't forget about Bongi Longwane, who we both really love. We talked about the speed of these wing backs who can get up and down, and that's what they like to do. That's the direct style of play that they play up there, and it's working. Sitting in second place right now, I believe. Let me pull this table back
25 points.
Sitting on second place, only 3 points behind Vancouver, who we know has been world beaters up until this point in the entire season. They only have 2 less goals than Vancouver, and they've only conceded 3 more goals. So, this is a team on a level with that Vancouver club, and they're going to have a matchup with Vancouver, actually, I believe, after they play us. So I'm interested to see how they approach that. But with the rotation that they had last night in the Open Cup, where they did go ahead and advance, I anticipate them to roll out a choice 11 with their guys, and their guys are good. And we're going to have to be on our shit here because this is going to be a difficult matchup for us. And I mean, the thing with Minnesota, even though it's been 5-5 in the win-loss, has been the incredibly embarrassing performance that we just saw earlier this month, as well as the dreaded first half, which might have been the worst first half of soccer I've witnessed in a very long time at the start of last season. So there's been some real low points with this team. And like you mentioned, getting some get back here, now is your opportunity to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Gressel, because what I did see last night is they started Gressel and Longwane on top of each other, in the sense of Gressel at right wing back and Bongi up there on the right wing. So not only is Gressel going to have Tani and Yeboah, these 2 giant targets to whip those deadly crosses in that he's done for the better part of his career here in MLS, but then he can also play Bongi through down that right side. So if we do see them come out, pretty much full strength. They did start, again, you started Bongi, you started Gressel, you started Yeboah last night, but there was rotation elsewhere in the lineup. One thing that did happen since we last saw these guys, the game that they were coming off of, there was allegations of, I think, racial discrimination on from Joseph Rosales. He was not suspended for our game, came off the bench, did get suspended, I think 2 weeks ago for 3 games. So I think he's still out here, if I recall correctly, which is a boost for us with how good Rosales has been. But it's still a very, very talented Minnesota side. And since we did see them, this is not just revenge for us, dude. Revenge for Damien, because they beat Louisville City right after they came and whooped our ass here. They won 1-0 in the Open Cup. Then they beat the brakes off Inter Miami and Messi at home 4-1. Rotated and lost in the midweek following that match at Houston 2-0. And then they beat St. Louis 3-0 at home in the league. And in comeback fashion, in the last 5 minutes of regulation, 3-2 over that same St. Louis side in the Open Cup last night. So like you mentioned, second in the West, 25 points plus 9 goal differential. And adding on to the interesting statistical pairing you brought up of last in the league in possession, but first in the league in clean sheets, they're also 6th highest in MLS in touches in the opposition box. So they have the ball the least. They concede, I think, third least in the league, only behind Vancouver and the Revs at the moment. And they get into the opponent's penalty area at a top tier rate. In terms of touches in the opponent's box, like per possession, like they gotta be highest in MLS. And they keep it clean too, man. 28th in yellow cards. Again, you want to be lower in that metric. And they've only conceded one penalty, just like us. And just like us, Dane St. Clair saved that lone penalty against, just like Stuver saved the penalty against Vancouver. So this is a very tough matchup. And like we already kind of touched on, I expect us to rotate fairly heavily here.
I mean, let's just take a look back. So they beat St. Louis last night 3-2, right? They came out rotated. And just to show you how direct they are and how quick they can hit you, in that second half, they generate 7 shots on target, 10 total. They create 4 fucking big chances, and you get 2 goals in a 3-minute stretch once Pereira comes into that game and starts delivering the ball to the guys. And like I mentioned, Markinich got a brace last night out of that wing back position. He also gets up and down. So like, this is how they play. You're going to know what they're going to do. Like, some of these teams, I think, have adjusted game plans and strategies when they're playing us. As we had, you make the appropriate chess moves as a manager, but like, this is how they play. They get the ball. It's quick. It's direct. 1-2 pass. Let's get up the field. Let's whip some balls into those athletic tall players and see if we can go ahead and get some shots on target. But it's like you said, it's going to be a tough game. But I'm ready to chat about us if you are.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up the lineup from last night and kind of discuss, like, what do you think we see in terms of rotation here? I mean, we got Buka and Obi, like, those guys got out after like 60 and 70 minutes respectively. BV also came off relatively early, so I'm not shocked to see any of those guys start again, but I certainly think you get Mirtu in. And with coach saying that Brandon is still struggling a little bit with that knock he took to his knee, I think I'd be fine, completely again, any really assortment of these guys up front, as long as Bukari, if he's starting, as long as he's on the right, I think I'm going to be, fine with it. I'm not opposed at all to seeing BV take a rest and let Mirtu go up there as the sole striker. And maybe we can get him going again and if you get all 3 DPs humming, man, headed into these summer months where the schedule is much lighter, then you're really starting to think that you can maybe reach the bar of expectation that we set at the beginning of the season after spending almost a month feeling like it was all kind of crashing down around us. Any thoughts for you on the attack or anywhere else, right? I think hindsight gets back in there for Julio for me.
Absolutely. I could see BV heading to the bench. It doesn't look like he's showing real signs that he's being affected by that knock he took, for sure. And like, again, he's a very physical player. For me, it's going to be what we're lining up in the midfield and what defensive responsibilities we're going to place on the wings as well. Because as we mentioned, this team can get up and down. They can go. Hot Air, Buka, obviously undersized, not defensive-minded players as attackers, but like asking them to cover that much ground if we're going to send doubles from the midfield as well, because you're going to have to pay attention to secondary runs from this midfield that they have, because they got guys who can score from outside the box, as we witnessed. So I could see Mirtu slotting in for BV. I think obviously Sabo comes back into this starting lineup, probably for Duber.
Maybe Ilya.
Maybe Ilya. We got him out.
He did come out after
right?
60.
So like
after he scored.
Yeah, I think you might be able to get away with him, and I'd feel much better about a Ilya Sabo pairing than I do a Duber Sabo pairing. Owen,
I think you sit him. Diego.
Really?
Diego. At least for a half. Dude, Owen was dog shit tired last night.
He's 20 years old, man.
I understand. But like, he hasn't gotten a break, and it's 2 days rest. Like, why Diego can't go 45 and then you bring Owen on?
I mean, I guess, I guess.
I'm just approaching this kind of like, you're definitely not going up there to not win, but also being cognizant of the load that these guys have had. And as we're just about to start getting fully healthy, I don't want, like, again, whatever the high performance staff deems is available to these players, then of course I trust that. But I'm not shocked if we see Owen rest, because I think we need Owen certainly Wednesday and then Saturday for the 2 games that we have next week. I don't know. I don't envy those guys' jobs right now, because all these guys are saying I'm good. I can go. I think Kolmanich for Biru too doesn't make me upset either in this one, because again, I just want to keep these guys healthy, and Owen and Biru are 2 guys who have been going
for sure. I would not want to see Kolmanich for Biru.
Okay.
I mean, to me, that's almost white flag, because he's just going to get his ass whooped. He's going to get his ass whooped on that side.
Yeah. Well,
okay. I don't know, man. I think Nico has shown his hand here. I think that he's a guy who's going to play his dudes. Like, I think that's how he approaches these things. I don't know. Yeah. And like you said, we're not with the performance staff. We don't know how these guys are feeling, because yes, Owen's 20, but the likelihood of getting a potential injury, if you're already kind of beat up, you're fatigued, skyrockets. It's a big factor. So I understand that. But it's hard for me to get fully on board with a ton of rotation, because I like the momentum we're building right now. And like, I want to keep that sustained. And that would give context if we do rotate and it doesn't look great, you can kind of fall back on that. But in our last, what at this point, we're winless in
since Galaxy
five MLS league matches. You know what I mean?
Think one of our last 8.
It's been a struggle right now, and we still, like we said, we'll feel good about 6 potential points that you could pick up if you get a result here. But like, we know the clock is ticking right now. So like, I don't know if it's time to get too cute with this team. If you start getting ran, which is possible up there for sure, then go ahead and get dudes out. But I like starting with your guys, and like, you see how that goes. So I'm going to go ahead and say Owen's going to start. I mean, he's our best player. He's our most impactful player right now. So like, I'm there with that. I just can't see too much rotation.
When I would be, if you have a very strong lineup when that drops an hour before kickoff on Saturday, then I'm hyped, man. Then these guys are, continuing to recover faster than I think, or than I usually expect. And no matter what, I'm excited to see number 3 out there, hopefully for, 15, 20 minutes at the end, defending a lead, maybe.
Absolutely. That would be really great to see. Yeah, man. Again, like you said, I definitely don't envy their job right now, because this is a tough decision to make.
Unless you have anything else to add here, E, how much is Austin FC winning by on Saturday?
I'm going to pass it off to you again.
All right. I got 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. I'll take that. I will align with you.
All right. The North End is aligned.
Come on down to Palmer Field where the champions play. Get ready for the game. It's last business day.
Last business day on episode 226 of the North End podcast. FCito finally back in action tomorrow on Friday evening. And this one, despite being against the same club that the first team is taking on this weekend, this one is right here at home. So Palmer Field 7:30 kickoff is what we got on the schedule here, hosting Loons 2 for the second time already on the young season. Minnesota won 1-0 back in March. I think it was our second match of the season. It was their season opener, and you can see on the standings here, if you're watching on the YouTube, that Minnesota is in 8th position in the West right now on 12 points, but only 6 matches played. So they have as many as 5 games in hand on a couple of teams here, mostly 3 and 4 games in hand, but again, a very imbalanced schedule for Loons 2 to begin the season. And this has been a very strong side so far, +5 goal differential with 12 scored to just 7 conceded. They did win their first 4 games before losing each of their last 2. Both of those were home matches. They lost to the defending champs, North Texas SC, and then St. Louis City 2. as their last 2 matches. They are led by number 91, led in scoring at least, number 91, Logan Dorsey. He's got 3 goals and an assist in 4 appearances. First team asset, Loic Masanvi, has 2 goals, and Masanvi has started all 6 matches. Devin Paddleford, defender, number 2, another first team guy. He's a homegrown contract for the Loons. He's appeared in 5 of the 6 second team matches. And then number 98, Elisa Randall, 17-year-old Liberian forward, 2 goals and an assist. And the only reason I note that outside of his stats there in his box score, Liberian forward, I wonder if Randall has any relationship with Jimmy. I can't imagine there are too many Liberian footballers over here in MLS Next Pro. So that was just something that crossed my mind, taking a peek back at Loons 2 here. What do you got in terms of the second team?
What do I got in terms of this second team?
Yeah.
Well, not a whole lot. I'll say that. I have not been able to catch as much of this season as I would have liked. We know it's been a struggle for this team thus far, but 2 positive results, I think, as of late. I think the SKC result isn't great because they're really struggling, a bad team. But we've liked seeing Micah up on that first team. So I think getting him here and getting him back into the rotation is going to be good. Alice Due, been my guy this year. Of the games I've seen and the players I've kept my eye on, he's been the one that I really like to see. I think Charlie Annette has been a big boost for us. I think he's been great. So probably trending in the right direction, but this next pro league is just so difficult to really, really understand and grasp because of the player movement. But
especially the opponents.
Yeah. Jimmy, who came out scorching hot. I think he gets the goal last game, right? That put us up for the win.
The back heel.
Yep.
So sick.
So I like that, and I got to get up to the pitch. I'll say that. Fudge moving close to the pitch. Said we could go up there pre-game and then just walk. Right. He's in walking distance.
Pre-game.
Yeah, so he's within walking distance. So we will get up there. But I like what I've seen out of Charlie and Alice Due for sure. Those are my guys. And then Jimmy, a staple, probably one of the best wingers in this league right now.
Those are good shouts. And good on you remembering that Micah's been up with the first team the last 2 league matches, something that had escaped me. So I would expect him to be right back in there in this lineup here this week. Jimmy as well. I want to see, where's Peter Grogan, right? Was that like a team suspension? Was it the rule change? What have you? Because I think Peter's been pretty solid this year. If Dessler's back, man, that means Riley Thomas should play tomorrow.
For sure. Good point.
So getting Riley some minutes is going to be a plus as well. And again, another revenge spot, because this was such a dick kick, man. 6 minutes of second half stoppage time is where they break through. And again, Minnesota was the stronger team on the night, 12 shots to 4, 5 shots on target to 1 in this match back in mid-March. But, certainly there's no team that's invincible right now in this Western Conference. We just saw Austin's second bottom defeat Ventura, who was at the top last time Austin FC 2 was in action. So I think these guys, again, going to be more full strength, you would think, on paper than they have been really since the opener, maybe. And wanting a revenge spot here at home where, again, you go back to the table. We got to pick it up, man.
Yeah.
We got to pick it up on 10 points. We do have a couple games in hand on those teams that are up at the top of the table, but games in hand don't matter if you don't get results. So defend home turf here. I'm not pulling the lever on this one, but it's very close.
Yeah, for sure. You got to get this thing moving. We saw this I've said it several times, but we saw this exact thing happen last year where the push at the end of the season was just too little too late. And you got to go ahead and get your business taken care of at home. So I'm excited for these guys. And like you said, I'm very excited for Riley to get some actual game time minutes. You know what I mean? Like this was not the plan for him. It was not come up to the first team and just be an emergency breaking pace of emergency situation and get him in the game. He should be progressing at this level, getting some minutes under his belt, and we can see what he's got. So I'm really excited for his opportunity here. And like Micah, we were really worried about that. Got to see a little bit more out of Irvin as well. Like those are our 2 guys. You know what I mean? Those are our guys that we have invested in, that this team believes in, and they are going to have to be the ones who pace us. I know Jimmy, obviously, a little bit older than both of them. So those are my 2 guys that I'm keeping my eye on right now. But I think the play with Alice Due has potentially alleviated some of the deficiencies that we've seen from Micah and Irvin, who haven't been playing their best for sure. We know that they're better. So a good opportunity for a lot of guys here. And I think getting Riley back or getting Riley into the fold will be helpful for this team.
I mean, because I don't think Riley, maybe he got out there for one match over this stretch that Dessler has been out almost 2.5 months now. So yeah, man, I'm excited to kind of sit down and watch this one on a Friday night. And unless you have anything else to add, you can let me know how much FCito is winning by on Friday night.
Well, given all that context, given that I think we're going to be playing our guys here, I'm going to go ahead and say 2-1 Austin. I think we're going to go ahead and get this job done.
Goddamn, North End is aligned. 2-1 for me as well. So don't care how you get it done, boys. Just bring us back the 3 points, and we will close out today's episode E with a little bit of the nonsense. Still calculating the best ball scores from Saturday's slate. I know we have the Wednesday ones in, haven't posted them yet. We are Austin TV, big time win, creating some separation up at the top, coming out of that transfer break or transfer draft. So we'll have those full results posted probably on Friday. We can discuss them on the pod on Sunday, but closing out, we can recap the picks. And before we get into the picks, just want to remind everybody to sign up at Underdog Fantasy. The MLS season is here. If you want to make some picks on your favorite players in sports, check out Underdog Fantasy's Pick'em game. You choose higher or lower on between 2 to 8 players, and you can win up to 1,000 times your entry. Underdog is available in 33 states, including right here in Texas. To sign up, click the link in the description of this video and use promo code NORTHEND at sign up, and you'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick to get you started. So join the millions of fans who have won billions on Underdog. Promo code NORTHEND at sign up. You can click the link to sign up in the description of this episode, whether you're on YouTube or listening to the audio version. You use that promo code NORTHEND at sign up, get the bonus cash, get your free pick, and then you come back to the northendpodcast.com where you can, of course, read the match preview for the Minnesota match. That'll be out on Friday. Saturday morning, week 15 picks will be posted. So running through what we had in week 14, underdog entry comes up short. So we are down another unit there, but still up 11.71 units on the season on Underdog. And then you get to the books, Revs, Whitecaps, LAFC, but the goal scorers save us. Bernadeschi plus 360 was so sweet to start out the slate. Denke plus 230. Who else did we get? Muriel plus 245. Buanga plus 155. You end up plus 2.4 units on the week. So we are plus 11.73 units at the books now. So again, you can come back northendpodcast.com Saturday morning to see what we're rolling with into the week 15 slate. E, anything else for you before we shut it down?
Yes. Very good job on your read there for the ad. A great enunciation on everything there. You did good. It was very professional. I don't know why I haven't noticed that or complimented you on that before, but
yeah,
that's a good read. You know, you might have a little acting career ahead of you. Voice stuff.
Well, I appreciate that, my friend. So we will be back on Sunday, recapping Austin FC's road trip out to Minnesota, recapping FCito's game against Minnesota United 2. Again, that's at home on Friday. Diving into the nonsense and talking about anything else that happens in the Austin FC universe between now and then. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. We'll do the same. We'll see you back here on Sunday for another episode of the North End Podcast. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Victory song.
Welcome to the North End where the passion's running high. We're here to talk football, Austin FC, our pride. ZG and E will take you on this ride. Week by week, side by side. It's action 1, 2, 3. We're the rowdiest in town. The Pirates game and Uncle Dave and Big Fudge all around. We sing our songs, we chant as one. Through thick and thin, the match day's just begun. In the North End, we stand together. Through every game, through any weather. From the first whistle to the final blow, our sacred ground. In green and black, we fight, our voices loud and proud. Trio sees magic, Bukari speed, Stuva saving grace. With every goal we score, the lights turn Verde, it's our place. So knows the mastermind, building our dream. Dan rules everything around